right, and we're live. Welcome back to another DeLorean Tech Bring a Trailer auction live stream. And here we are with this 1981 5-speed manual that just went up like the same day that the previous DeLorean ended. I think that was it ended at 54.5, a little less than what the original owner paid for it. This has been sitting here at 54,000 for pretty much the entirety of the day. It was actually at 54,000 last night when I went ahead and took a look at this auction. So let's go ahead and go through this car, and then we're gonna contact Chris Miles and get his take on it as well. So actually, this car looks really good. So this is a one owner. So this is the original owner selling this car, and I went through like the hundreds of photos that this guy has up on this car, and it looks really good. Just, you know, all things considering, there's a few things here and there that would need to be upgraded, but he's actually kept the car in really, really good shape. So we're going to go ahead and go through some of these photos here. I know that he's got like some older Yokohamas on there, so he definitely needs to, whoever ends up getting this needs to replace it. There's just some small wear and tear things. Original fuel lines are still in it, so those will have to be replaced. But for the most part, if you look at the interior and you look at the undercarriage, everything looks pretty clean. It's, you know, it's not 100% spotless, but compared to a lot of other cars, it's not bad. So we got some guys here in the chat. Just want to make sure everybody can hear me okay, because I know we had some technical difficulties in the last stream. I went ahead and did sort of a dry run last night. Perfect. Thanks, Charles, and thanks, Big Sarge, for coming in. We're gonna go ahead and give Chris Miles a call in a minute. I did want to quickly go through the car really fast here. It's a pretty nice car, like I said before. You know, you got some original stuff going on here, but I mean, it's funny because I was looking at this car last night, going through all the photos, and it really reminds me of the sort of the shape that my car was in when I bought the DeLorean Tech car. In fact, this might be in a little better shape than mine was. Mine was also, I bought mine from the original owner, which is great because those original owners, they a lot of them kept a lot of stuff, right? That they really loved the car and they amassed a collection. At least the owner I bought it from had this huge collection of just everything, right? Obviously, all the documentation on the car, minus of course the window sticker, because I have an 83 and there were no window stickers for 83s. I had to create my own, but it had all of the maintenance logs, service records, all that kind of stuff. There was some extra parts, like they had the original radio that was in the car, the ASI, things like that, right? But this car actually came with things like the original plastic coolant overflow bottle, which I thought was kind of cool, and a bunch of other stuff too if you look through some of these photos here. So we're still sitting at 54,000, which I think personally I see this going higher than that towards the end here. Like I said before, it has not moved at all since last night. I don't know when that 54,000 bid was put in, but if you looked at these photos, you know, it's a pretty nice, got a lot of original stuff going on here. It wouldn't take much to turn this into a Concours competitor if that's your thing. If you want a driving car, he's got driving videos on here. So we'll take a look at some of those. I went through those last night. We'll take a look at these just for the heck of it. So let's play that one. So this is a very, I think, a great starter car for someone who wants a driving car but doesn't want something that has had a lot done to it. It looks like he's maintained it well, and he has stored it inside. So if these buildings here is what he's had it stored in, then it makes sense as to why the car is so clean inside and out. I think it was a Minnesota car, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Minnesota. I don't know if it's spent its entire life in Minnesota, but this is the startup video. I think he backs it up here as well. There was a comment about the driving not being at very high speeds, but it kind of makes sense considering the tires that he's got on there, which are Yokohama's. I don't think Yokohama's made tires in the DeLorean size for quite a while, so I don't know what year those Yokohamas were manufactured, but I feel like I noticed some flat spotting on them. You can kind of see it a little bit here. That could just be, you know, where the car was sitting, but it almost looks like there was some flat spotting going on. But at least he made an effort to drive the car. That's really the big one, especially if you're not going to go check it out in person. He's got these driving videos, so we know the car can drive and can be driven. And he's got quite a few of these. So he's got that one, and then he's got this drive along video, which I thought was pretty good too. These are about a minute and a half long. We'll go ahead and play those. So again, he's driving them kind of slowly, but I think it kind of takes it kind of says what's going on with the car. It can be driven. There's no problem there. So the noise that you kind of hear in the background in this video, that's just kind of the rattling a little. There's always a little bit of rattling in these cars, and I've got the same thing going on in mine over time. You know, things just start to vibrate and you hear a bunch of noise. That's very, very common with most cars. So it's a nice running car. Sounds good. Sounded good at startup. He's got quite a few driving videos here. There's a drive-by. So we can speed this up a little bit. There we go. I think someone made a comment about this, like, oh, you're driving it kind of slow, what's up with that? But he added those drive-along videos in there, which I think are suitable, right? That should be good enough. You can tell, I think, the way the tail lights look, the car's been stored indoors, at least most of the time. There's another drive-by right here. I don't know why these, because so yeah, it's a nice looking car. Again, all original here. It's got a jack out. It was probably there to lift the car up to take some photos of the undercarriage, and he's got a lot of photos of this car. So whoever's bidding on this, you've got a lot of stuff to take a look at, and which is great, right? You can make an informed decision as far as you know, where you want to bid on this car. We're going to go ahead and give Chris Miles a call. I probably should have texted him just to make sure he was ready. We'll see what Chris Miles thinks about it. He's got a lot of little extras here is what I remember towards maybe the end of the photos. Here we go. So we got the original window sticker, a bunch of booklets and brochures, and the kind of stuff you would find from an original owner, right? They kept a lot of that stuff. They kept it with the car. A lot of these original owners, they knew what they had, right? So to keep all this extra stuff, it just makes sense, because it's definitely increases the value. I think increases at least your ability to sell the car. Keeping all of these maintenance logs, which I think is very important, especially for DeLorean. You see the stuff. Here's a maintenance log here. So not a whole lot happened here in the last 10 years between 2010 to 2020. So it was probably being stored for a while, but you do have some stuff going back pretty far, I think. Here's some of the more recent stuff in 2022, August last year. You got oil and filter change. Let's see what else we got here. I'm gonna bring Chris Miles in. Hey, yo, Chris. Hey, it's Todd with DeLorean Tech. How's it going, my man?
Good.
Hey, so you are live here on our latest Bring a Trailer auction live stream. So I'm assuming you're familiar with the car that's up right now.
Yeah, I've been looking at it.
It's not a bad looking car. That was my impression, at least.
They've really added a lot of pictures. Over 300 instead.
Yeah, it might be a record. I don't know. Usually you don't see that many.
Right.
I'm noticing an invoice is from Swedish Auto Service, which is near me. Well, was near me. So I don't know if this car. Let's see, what is it for exactly here? Oh, the slave and master. Maybe the clutch line was replaced, or maybe he's just buying parts here. I don't know. I don't know if the car has spent its entire life in Minnesota or not.
Well, Swedish was in the LA area, like you
Yep.
mentioned.
Yeah,
Back in,
OC.
like,
Yep.
mid to late 80s.
Right. So
yeah, it says 85.
yeah. So it might have been a California car at one point, and then maybe it was moved to Minnesota.
I know that Swedish also did a mail order business too, so
Yeah,
you were able to buy parts and they'd ship them to you. And
that's a possibility as well. Maybe he just ordered the parts from them back then. Like, he's got some stuff here from DeLorean Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gotta say the interior is pretty nice. I think it's better than my interior. Yeah,
That's hard to do. That's hard to beat.
I mean, the car is still sitting at 54,000. It's been at 54,000 for, gosh, since last night at least when I checked it. I don't know when that bid was placed. I guess we can find out here, going down to the bottom maybe.
It says 57.5 at the moment.
Oh, it is.
Maybe it just bumped up.
Yeah, for some reason I've got a delay here, I guess. I'm still showing 54,000. That kind of sucks. Maybe I need to refresh my screen.
Yeah.
Let's try that. Yeah. I guess maybe I'm having that issue that the last seller pointed out, where some folks will see the current bid. It's not actually the current bid because of something. It could be because of the stream as well. I was having some issues getting the stream going last night just to test it out. So don't know what's going on.
It looks like it's sitting at 19,400 miles. That's pretty low, obviously.
Yep. Definitely 19,000 miles here. I didn't see anything of concern. What about you?
Things look pretty clean. Like, I'm looking into the where the torsion bar is right now, and I don't see anything like concerning. Let's see. A lot of people are very aware now of the roof box on the DeLorean.
Yeah.
And the cars are getting older, and depending on how they were stored, a lot of corrosion can build up in that, and that's the structural part of the car. It holds the doors in place. So if the car has a compromised roof box, that could lead to a really expensive repair down the road.
Yeah. So what do you recommend as far as that, as far as inspecting those?
Well, I've seen some pretty bad ones where if you stick a flashlight where the torsion bars are, you can shine a light through the whole thing, and it comes out the other side. So the actual, you know, the walls of the box break down, and you can notice some pretty big holes in the sides of it.
Yeah, we should do a video on how to inspect the roof box.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right, a lot of cars, especially ones that were stored outside, you know, are probably more susceptible to the corrosion on the inside of that, and which you're not going to see, at least not without a proper inspection, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're just not going to notice it on the inside there. I've seen a lot of roof boxes that just look like crap. I mean, it looks terrible, you know. They pick up a lot of stuff while driving. Obviously, stuff just gets inside there, especially if you don't have a good seal around the doors. All the rain, water gets in there when it rains. Cars being stored outside and not being properly covered, that kind of stuff. It can just really accumulate and then end up becoming a huge, like you said, structural integrity problem sooner or later. And that could lead to all sorts of different issues and more costly repairs in the future.
Something else to keep in mind too, your roof box may be structurally sound, but because of the glues and adhesives that were used when the car was made, they're starting to break down.
Right.
You can get roof box separation, and this is generally seen looking in the rear of the car, where the T-panel is going across the back window. And if you remove that screen that's sitting above where the louvers are, you can see where the torsion bar plates are, and you can observe the roof line going across, and that's where you'll see the lifting of the roof box. So that's a pretty easy inspection. Take off that rear screen, take a look at how the roof line is. If it's starting to bow up, or if you see some visible separation, then you can do kind of an easy repair, or easier repair. You can put some bolts through the roof and kind of cinch it down. Looking at some other photos here, and they have a nice picture looking at the fuel distributor looking down, and this car hasn't had the mixture plug removed, the original one.
Okay.
So that means that this car probably hasn't been messed with very much.
Right. It's very original in there. So I didn't notice that myself, but it's probably in one of these many photos he's got.
I just happened to come across it.
Oh, I think I see it here. Yeah. It's right forward of the fuel distributor, between that and the air box there. You can kind of see it in some of these photos, I guess. So that'll need to be done. That's not a big deal, I don't think. It's been done on most of the cars out there.
By now,
yeah.
Of course, everyone who comments on these things, they always say the fuel lines need to be replaced, which is a good thing, a good place to start.
Yep. I like that purple overflow bottle. At least it looks purple in those pictures.
Yeah. So some of the earlier vendors used to sell these aluminum bottles, and it was probably black originally, and the anodized maybe coloration just kind of lightened up over the years, maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what. I mean, I've seen that happen on other cars with these aluminum bottles.
Right. And I noticed he has the original plastic one too, in a big box of stuff.
I noticed that. Taking a look at the rear cross member, They, they don't have it like, I don't see it like a complete picture, but they have some pictures of looking at from each side, and there's some rust on the rear cross member. But would need to be taken care of.
Yeah.
But a lot of this looks fairly decent. There's some surface corrosion on a lot of the bolts in the engine, like the oil pan and the timing cover.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. It's pretty superficial. Those can be replaced. Everything else looks pretty good, though. It's just the bolt heads.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if there's any... Let's see, here's some photos of the front frame extension. It looks like it's in good condition.
It's got the original Motorola 90 amp on there, and they got some melty stuff going on as well, so that'll have to be fixed. That looks exactly like mine, though. It's almost identical. Yeah. I felt like looking at this car, it reminded me a lot of my car when I went to go check it out, right? Very similar, a lot of original stuff going on. Similar kind of condition, I think. Actually, this might be a little bit better shape than mine. So we're at, let me see here. I might have to reload because, we'll see what happens. So we're still at 57.5. Yeah, still 57.5 on this one here. And you got less than 2 minutes.
40.
Huh?
Got a minute and 40 left.
Minute and 40. Yep. That's where I'm at too. Minute and 40 left. Let's see what we have in the comments here. So the seller here is not the owner. He's kind of acting as a proxy for the owner here. So he's not the owner, but that's kind of common as well with some of these original owners.
It's funny, a guy named Miles_S is bidding on it or commenting on it.
It's relative?
I don't think so. Although there's a guy named Havlik on here, so it might be our buddy Jeremy. He might be commenting.
Oh, Havlik 731. It probably is.
Yeah.
It probably is. Yeah, he's had the car for about 5 years now, I think, too, right, Jeremy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably him.
$17 seconds.
57.5. I mean, oh, it's up to 58.
Oh, 58.
It's going to be a little bit of a bidding war here.
So that's what I sold my last car that I did a restore on.
Right.
So
yeah.
We'll see how this one fares. I think there's probably a little bit more deferred maintenance on this one.
Yeah, definitely. I was looking at the maintenance logs, and there were some gaps here and there, that just the car just kind of sat for a while, it looks like. But I think I did remember reading that we're up to 59,000, that they did do a fuel system flush. At least that's what it looked like. They replaced a few components. Obviously, they skipped the fuel lines, but at least they replaced the fuel pump. I think they replaced the accumulator at some point. It wasn't that recent, but at least it was done. So 300 photos from Big Sarge. Seems like a decent way to get a feel for its condition along with startup and drive video. Yeah, I definitely agree. The more the merrier. It always bothers me when I see, like, I don't know, 50 photos, no video, Mm-hmm. So sometimes I'll go on here and say, hey, please post a driving video. I mean, either these guys aren't looking at previous auctions or they just want to hide something. One of the two, right? There's kind of no excuse for it. So we're at 59,000 with less than a minute to go. So being a really nice car, I would expect it to go up into the 60s. I mean, you never know where these cars are going to end up, right? I mean, some days they're up, some days they're down, some days they're sideways, some days it's all the above. You can never really predict. I kind of gave up on trying to predict where the market is going for DeLoreans. It just, you really can't. It just depends on the day of the week.
Yeah. I had missed your last live stream. I don't recall what that car went for. But
50. It sold for less than what the buyer bought it for on Bring a Trailer. I think it sold for 54.5, something like that. He paid 55 for it. Here we are, 60 now. So 60,000. Broke the 60s, which is good, I think, and obviously for a car like this, kind of makes sense. I was struggling last night to find something wrong, seriously wrong with it that, you know, you could point out and talk about, but really I couldn't find anything. I just kept looking at this like, man, that's like my car, that's like my car. Right?
Right.
And then all the extra stuff that comes with it is, I kind of like goes to the original owner aspect. They love to keep everything, and they're at 61,000.
Looks like the clutch was replaced at some point because there's a disc in there, or a clutch disc, or extra one, or something.
So Russ Law has joined the chat. So Russ Law, he's the DeLorean model collector. So he's saying he wants to add a 1-to-1 model to the collection. So Russ, if you can hear me, what number would that be currently? If you were to add a DeLorean, 1-to-1 scale DeLorean to your collection, what number would that be? 500 and something or other, I would imagine. I think he's getting close to 600 DeLorean models. So he has the biggest DeLorean model collection in the world, arguably, and I follow him. He's always got the newest stuff, like the newest Hot Wheels stuff. I collect Hot Wheels DeLoreans. He's always got the newest stuff out. 61,000. Less than a minute to go here. Yeah, so he's got the latest stuff. I think he just posted something the other day, one of those pewter DeLorean models. So this guy's got everything you could think of in the DeLorean model world except for an original 1-to-1 scale DeLorean. So that's probably next. So he's got 560. So that would be 563 if he were to get a 1-to-1 scale DeLorean today. So we need to do a video of his collection one of these days. I mentioned it to him just recently, actually. So that's probably going to happen at some point. I'm hoping maybe we can get something together for that this year. He's got a huge collection, so it wouldn't be an easy video to do. We're talking about 562 currently models that he's got. Hey, are we...
If you do it on Facebook, that
it's sold. 61,000. 61,000. So Miles, hey, your cousin bought it.
Yeah, I guess so.
So at least it went to another mile. 61,000. Not bad. Not bad. So what are your thoughts on that price?
It seems to be where a good car is selling for. In terms of what kind of work this car needs, I mean, if it's running, then maybe it's just some maintenance things, fuel lines. I noticed that the coolant hoses are newer. You can always check for coolant hoses by looking at the hose clamps. The original hose clamps are easy to spot versus the ones that a lot of people use, as a replacement.
Yeah.
So coolant hoses are probably done. I couldn't see any photos of like the radiator or anything, but
yeah, he looked like he tried to take some photos. I saw the fan shroud. That's about as much as I saw under the front end. that's all fairly easier stuff. Not of major concern. I've had my radiator replaced. I replaced the cooling fans myself. That's not super. And I'm not an expert on the car. I'm not even really like a car mechanic per se. I've dabbled in car mechanics here and there. But DeLorean personally, I think it's pretty easy to work on. I mean, relatively speaking, right? And it's kind of fun. I think I actually enjoy working on the car.
Yeah, and
I know you do.
Together and things. Yeah.
Yeah. So $61,000 on this car here. A good price, I think. Mm-hmm. And I think so. Congratulations to the seller. And it looks like another Mr. Miles purchased it.
Or maybe that's his first name. I don't know. It could be.
Could be, yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. What do you think? I mean, we always talk about the market for these cars and, where they're headed. I feel like this is quite lower compared to what we saw like, a year or two ago. Cars fetching for in the 80s and 90s, I think even over 100.
I think that was probably a fluke. People just getting overly excited.
Yeah.
About bidding on a car. I mean, I still think it's interesting, especially on Bring a Trailer. People are just willing to drop, thousands and thousands of dollars on a car they've never seen before.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that whole like pandemic thing where everything just kind of shot up, collectibles just shot up, right? And and now we're kind of seeing the correction from that, right? It's a good hold though, up in the 60s still, right? I mean, for this car.
I think anything between like 58 to 65 is probably going to be the price for a nice car that's in good cosmetic condition.
Right.
It's running, of course. I just worked on a car a couple days ago that hadn't run in 2 years, and someone had bought it. And luckily, new fuel pump solved the issue, and we got the car started. So
there you go. Sometimes it's just that simple,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at prices here, at least here on Bring a Trailer, and yeah, they're hovering kind of in this range here. The low end, you got some cars that are in the 40s, and the high end, you got some cars kind of in the low 60s. And this is going back towards the beginning of the year. You did have one that took 72 back in February, but just before that, you had some that were just 65, 58, So I don't know what it was with that one car that took 72. Maybe it has like super low miles. I noticed that too. I noticed the cars that have the lower miles will fetch a lot more than the cars with. This one has 19,000 miles, just like the car that sold today, and it's an automatic. It took 72,000. So don't know. I might have skipped this one. This is probably when this one took place probably during my work day. This was perfect. So I was in meetings all morning, and right at noon kind of started the stream, and it looks like we'll be done before 1 here and just go back to work, right? Actually, this is a very original car that took for 72 here in February. So,
and fewer pictures, very like grungy looking underneath.
Yeah.
Much more corrosion, it seems like. So, it's all about timing, right? What's available when a particular person is looking to buy something, and they're going to get it, no matter, what the cost. I think a lot of general car collectors might be starting to get interested in this car now.
Yeah, no, I agree. You saw that in the past couple of years. A lot of collections are just adding DeLoreans. It's just like the. I don't know if that's the best way, because ultimately they end up sitting, right?
Right.
The cars need to be driven. I feel like you know, that was the case with the last auction before this one. It was one of those guys that had this big car collection, and yeah, I'm gonna add a DeLorean because it's kind of cool, you know. And 2 years later, he ends up selling it for less than what he paid. Little less,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But maybe he thought, yeah, it'd be a good investment. But, you know, ultimately, I think he probably just had one too many cars, and it's time to let a few go. Cool. Alrighty. Well, thanks a lot, Chris. I appreciate you taking the time to call in and lend us your thoughts on this 81 DeLorean, that single owner, original owner car. And we'll see if we get another auction here. Hopefully there'll be another one. I kind of miss doing these.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah. All right, Chris. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. Take care.
I'll talk to you later.
Yep. Bye. All right, so that was Chris Miles, good friend of ours, and he's done quite a bit of work with me on my car and a lot of the local cars here in Southern California. He actually is part of the NorCal DeLorean Club. He's more Northern Cal, Central Cal, but he makes the trek down here to Southern California to work on cars. He enjoys it. We like having him down here because of his knowledge. He's very helpful. And yeah, so back to this car, and Russ was saying that cars in the UK, so Russ, the DeLorean model collector, he is in the UK, and he's saying a good one is about 80,000 to 90,000 British pounds sterling, so that's a lot, if you can get one over there. So I'm hoping if I can get one, about 50,000, we'll get, oh yeah, $50,000. Yeah, I mean, in the 50s is definitely within reach because the last car before this one took about, I think it was 54.5. And then, yeah, you'll have to import it. You know, that'll definitely increase the cost. You know, shipping it overseas, that's not going to be cheap. But yeah, there's, you can always reach out to, I don't know the market in Europe as far as DeLoreans and who sells them and how you can get one over there. In the UK, even less, I think. I'm more familiar with, I guess, Germany. I know that our buddy Wolfgang Hank, I think he sells DeLoreans, maybe. He restores them. I don't know if he sells them or not. He's out of Germany. I think... I don't know if DeLorean Europe actually sells DeLoreans either. I don't think they're out of the UK, though. I want to say they're out of, like... Actually, I don't even know if they're out of the UK. They may be out of... I think DeLorean Go is out of, like, Belgium or Holland or something like that. I honestly have no idea. It's all kind of a mystery to me, what's going on in Europe. Barry Wills... I keep in touch with him here and there on stuff, but I honestly don't know what the market is like for DeLoreans in Europe. So that would be interesting to see. And I don't know if they would even put a car up on Bring a Trailer or not. You know, I see Canada putting cars up on Bring a Trailer, but honestly, I don't look at auctions a whole lot on Bring a Trailer, just DeLorean auctions. And they're actually Audi R8s. I follow those too. That's another car I would like to have. Don't know if I'll ever get one or not, but I do follow the auctions for the Audi R8s here. But anyway, yes, it will be expensive to import a 1-to-1 scale DeLorean over to Europe from the U.S. here. But if you can find a good deal, you never know. It's hard to say. I think closer to the East Coast of the U.S., it might be a little cheaper. So DeLorean Florida may be an option for you. If you're looking for a car that, has been completely vetted out and gone through, that might not be a bad choice. Of course, you may end up, going on Bring a Trailer and you see a car here that looks good. We try to do these live streams to help prospective folks and also prospective new owners kind of get an idea of what to look for when they're shopping DeLoreans. And this is a good example of what you should be looking for. Now, do these always pop up? Not really. This is kind of a diamond in the rough, I think. and you know, more to it being very sort of untouched, right, and well stored. Of course, there may be other issues with the car that need to be worked out, but just by, you know, what we saw here with the photos and the videos, it looked pretty good. It looked pretty good. So you'll probably need to go with a, if you were to have this shipped to the UK, you would need to go with a shipping company. And I honestly not very familiar with that, but it certainly wouldn't be USPS, I don't think. You would have to go with either a company that is over there in the UK that does business shipping, you know, cars over from the US, or vice versa. Or maybe there's a company that exists in both countries. I just don't know. That's a good question, though. And hopefully we can get you, Russ, a 1-to-1 scale DeLorean finally. 'Cause that's the only thing missing from your collection right now, I think, right? So that would be very cool. This is a really good example of one that I think, and it sold for a pretty reasonable price, $61,000. That's not bad at all for a car like this. You know, they've gone up. We've seen them go for in the 70s and 80s, and I thought that was crazy. Then cars started going for over 100,000. Then I was like, wow. You know, of course, that a lot of that was due to this weird phenomenon that happened during the pandemic, where everything just kind of went up. Like used cars just went up, collectibles went up. It was just some weird phenomenon that I didn't really participate in a lot of that, but I did. It was kind of funny, kind of fun, just kind of watching it all happen, you know, especially on like eBay and in collectible auctions and stuff like that. I couldn't believe how much certain comic books were going for, and then a bunch of other stuff like vintage video games, original sealed stuff, classic cars, just basic used cars, right? So it was a very interesting phenomenon. I think we're kind of correcting from all of that now. At least that's what it sort of feels like. So Joel Stewart just joined. He's building a Back to the Future PC. So I'd be interested to see what that would look like. I'm assuming you're talking about the case for it, and maybe some of the other peripherals. But that should be pretty cool to look at. Maybe you got a stainless steel thing going on there. Maybe some DeLorean logos. That'd be kind of cool. That's actually a pretty cool idea. Let's see if he's got some photos we can go take a look at. I've got about 10 minutes left till I got to go back to work. The wife says I can't have one. Oh, man. So Russ, your wife says you can have 562 DeLorean models, but you can't have that one that would complete your collection. Man, what a tough spot to be in. So, you know, hopefully we can do that video. You know, what would be really cool is if you did get that 1-to-1. That would be a good time to do that video on your collection, because that would be sort of like the pinnacle of your collection, the 1-to-1 scale DeLorean. Let's see here. 2.8. Yeah, so you know this really reminds me a lot of my car. When I bought it, you know, I had the same de-icer plate here, and not the same bottle, but a very similar kind of oddball bottle here, overflow bottle. And this is an 81 though, so it wouldn't have come with this. This might have been added later on, the de-icer plate. And the interior, I really like the interior. He had all the original stuff in there, even the original radio still there. This is a very cool looking interior here. I like this photo a lot right here. So Joel Stewart has an authentic DeLorean grill. So when you say grill, do you mean the front grill of the car, or do you mean a grill that you cook on? Because I've seen them both. I've seen a DeLorean grilling grill that, and I think there was a video about it or something like that. But you probably mean the front grill, which is really a piece of plastic, because you know, and the airflow to the condenser and the radiator and all that, and the cooling fans, that all comes through the rock screen down below the quote front grille, which is not really a grill in the traditional sense. It's kind of like what you see on a Tesla. There's no grill on the front of the car because it doesn't need it. Same thing can be said with the DeLorean. Just a piece of plastic there that sort of emulates the look of a front grille in a car from back in the 70s and 80s. But all of the airflow goes through the rock screen in the front. So Copper Tank. Hey, welcome back, Copper Tank. I'm at work right now. If you stand up in my cubicle, I can see 2860 right outside the break room window. Awesome. That's always a good feeling to be able to see your car from anywhere, I think. It's just one of those things, and I always take photos of it. Just started on the Back to the Future. That's the black one. Yes, the original DeLorean grill. So, you know what? So, Russ, I don't know if you're still on, but some guys that either can't get a car or maybe they're, still a ways off from getting their car. I know I was for a long time. I felt like I kind of joined the party sort of late. But a lot of these guys will actually get parts from the car and just kind of amass a collection of parts. And by the time they get one, they've got all these really cool parts that they can then just, put on the car, assuming that the car needs those parts replaced. So I thought that was kind of interesting. There's actually guys out there that don't own a car, love the car, but they have a huge collection of parts, including body panels, steering wheels, front grille, tail lights, all sorts of stuff. So that's another option. And if the wife doesn't want to let you get the full, DeLorean, you can probably piece it together yourself under the radar. A little sarcasm there, but I mean, it's better than nothing. I actually did that. I actually had I had like the DMC emblem, which is the new old stock emblem, things like that, the front one, the rear one, a few other little things here and there before I got my car. I had parts of the DeLorean. Of course, that's never really a substitute for having the full 1-to-1 scale car, right? And good luck getting that, and hopefully it will happen in the future. I know there's a bunch of other new models. There's always models coming out, right, that you're going to have to keep up with to get those. But obviously the unicorn of your collection is that 1-to-1 scale. So Russ, if you had a choice, what would you get as far as a DeLorean? Would it be a manual? Would it be an automatic? Would it be an 81, 82, 83? Does it even matter? It looks like you've got, or you'd love a grill with the DMC logo to hang on the wall. Absolutely. And those are actually, I think they're easy to get. I think you can still get those from DeLorean.com. And they do ship overseas as well. Oh, he wants a late car manual. Okay, just like what I got. Yeah, I agree. I don't know what it is with the later cars. Well, maybe I do. I think with the later cars, they had more QA QC going on than the earlier VINs. The 82, 83 cars, those ones had a lot of the known issues already addressed. So you right off the bat you have less issues theoretically. I know there's a lot of 81s out there that still have to, get stuff fixed on them, stuff that was identified early on by the factory that need to be addressed. And a lot of those 81s that were shipped over, and you heard about a lot of the shortcuts, and they really rushed the production, so a lot of stuff was missed. That's why they set up those QA QC centers in the States, was to address a lot of the issues that were not addressed at the factory. A lot of the 82s and 83s, a lot of those issues were addressed at the factory, and then they were shipped over, or they were shipped over after the company went into receivership and was acquired by Consolidated. So my car, an 83 was a consolidated car. And I, having spoken with the original owners, who I still keep in contact with, I just visited the original owners a little earlier this year to pick up a whole bunch of new stuff that they found for free. They just gave me actually several the Sunstar models. They gave me like about 3 or 4 of them, and a bunch of other stuff that they had in the car. So they told me that, yeah, when they bought the car, and they actually bought it brand new in '84, early '84. So it was a consolidated car. Had no issues, right? And you can see the maintenance records. It was mainly just, wear and tear stuff that they had to do to the car. Nothing super major. About the only super major thing that they did was have to change the clutch, and that happened at about 70, 80,000 miles or something like that. When I was in the market, all that mattered to me was a manual that runs. I ended up with a 3-liter swapped 81 5-speed. Yeah, so the 3-liter, I'm assuming you mean, so copper tank, I'm assuming you mean the Eagle Premier motor that we just did a video on that. It's actually on the Stainless Tech membership channel, where a local owner here in Southern California swapped out his original PRV with a 3.0. And he actually had a referee inspect it, and he's able to pass emissions now. So even with a swapped engine, it was a little bit of work, but it didn't sound like a very difficult thing to do. And now they actually have sort of that benchmark established for those who want to go with the 3.0. It's got a bit more horsepower to it. He also put the Stage 1 on that as well, the Stage 1 exhaust, to give it a little bit more horsepower, just a little bit more. Yeah, so Poi Dog 81, yes, it definitely went for cheap. I think 61 is a good price. If I were looking for a DeLorean today, I wouldn't really have an issue paying that, compared to the $80, $90, $100,000 prices we were seeing once upon a time. $61,000 is pretty decent for a car like this. You can still get cars a little cheaper, but they're probably going to need a little bit more work. It just really all depends, too. You can't really judge the market based on these auctions, although it is a kind of an indicator. So it's a 91 Eagle Premier PRV. So I watched the video. Okay, cool. So you did see that video. Yeah, it was a pretty cool swap. And the car, I really kind of regret not getting a video of the car starting up, or maybe I did. I think there was some revving going on at the end of the video, if I remember correctly. So, but he left the tech day a little early, and I missed getting a video of him driving off. I really wanted to do that, so maybe at the next one. But it sounds great. That car sounds really nice with that DMC Stage 1 exhaust on there. I think it's a Gen 2 Stage 1 exhaust. So, and he's got it smog legal and all that good stuff. So, anyway, so we've got 2 more minutes till I gotta run. Thanks everyone for watching, and thanks again to the guys in the chat for joining in. Hopefully we'll see another auction here soon. And thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video.